Hey there, Lorcana lovers. My name's Lizard, and I'm excited to talk to you today about some awesome new cards. So let's get into it. Before we start, I must say that the cards in this video are not official cards. I repeat, these are not real cards. Yet. Honestly, they are just some ideas for cards that I'd love to see at some point in the future of Lorcana. So, with all of that out of the way, let's begin. I'm sure many of you are aware of how popular the Popsicle Ruby Sapphire deck was at the beginning of the Rise of the Floodborn meta. Because of that success, I believe we're going to start to see a lot more attention towards item deck profiles. Unfortunately, Ruby Amethyst quickly proved that it's still the top dog and it dominates the meta. But with that being said, I was thinking, what's a mechanic that we haven't seen yet that could possibly help give an extra edge to an item deck, or specifically the Popsicle item deck? That's right, people. We need a way to ready exerted item cards. And who better to ready an item card than good old It Felix? Now, I know that the Popsicle deck really plays into, banishing your items and then bringing the Popsicles back with Nick Wild, and it helps with a lot of card draw and overall sustains the deck. So really, It Felix would be most helpful with early game ramping, being able to do things like readying, say, the Fishbone Quill to get just that one extra card into the ink that turn. I'm sure there's people out there with bigger brains than me who could figure out really creative ways to get the most use out of a card like It Felix, even in other deck profiles, say a Sapphire Amber build, where you're using It Felix to reuse all of your lanterns, or ready your flute to get another lore that turn for a song. I can see decks that really care about healing, Grandpappy type decks, getting the most use out of this card with, a gumbo pot or other item cards that like to heal up your characters. So, It Felix is definitely on my radar for an awesome card I'd like to see in the future. Next up, I want to talk about one of my favorite characters. No surprises here, it is Pascal. I would absolutely love to see a Floodborn Pascal. I mean, the one-drop Amethyst Pascal that we currently have is already a card that sees lots of play. So why not make it a shift target for a Floodborn Pascal? Pascal's evasive ability would allow him to stick around long enough to be shifted, as long as you have more than one character in play. But I think it would be really cool to maintain that idea of Pascal camouflaging himself to become evasive by giving the Floodborn Pascal evasive while he is at a location. I know we don't know much about locations just yet, but I think this would be a fun way to interact with one, especially if the location itself provides further benefits from having a character at it, which I'm certain they will. I'm also just excited to have an Evasive Matters type deck. It's been a long time coming. We're seeing quite a few evasive cards being introduced, and it's just not there yet. And I think Amethyst would definitely be a color that would love to have an Evasive Matters deck profile, and this Pascal would certainly just be the cherry on top, in my opinion. Okay, let's move on to another Disney character who is near and dear to my heart, the one and only Mushu. Where is Mushu, y'all? Why haven't we gotten a Mushu card? Come on, Ravensburger! Now, I know I'm not the only person who felt super let down after the Rise of the Floodborn's official release, when we all found out, oh, hey, there's not a Mushu card in this set. I mean, I was getting so excited. I was seeing all the new Mulan cards, Strength of a Raging Fire, the Amber Mulan cards, and I don't know what else there was, maybe more, maybe I'm forgetting one, but I was almost certain we would be getting a Mushu card. But then we didn't. So I'm still very hopeful that at least in the next set, we will finally get our Mushu card. I don't even care if he's really good or playable. I just want to see Mushu. He's such an awesome character, and honestly, I'm a collector at heart, so I'm not going to get super bent out of shape if one of my favorite characters doesn't see much play. For instance, the Honey Wizard Pooh card that just came out in the Rise of the Floodborn, I thought was so super cool. And unfortunately, it doesn't see much play, but I still love that card. I'll still look at it in my binder and go, ooh, hey, that's a really cool card, But so anyway, I think Mushu would fit well in maybe a ruby ink color. Obviously, he's red, but he doesn't have to go in ruby. I don't care what he's in. I just want to get a Mushu. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, so come on, y'all. Let's hope and pray we get a Mushu card. Moving on, I have been a big fan of the amber ink color since Lorcana's initial launch. Seeing that Stitch Carefree Surfer card for the first time got me super stoked to want to build an amber deck. So naturally, I gravitated towards the amber steel deck that really took over the meta during the first chapter, and honestly is still really strong. This deck is almost always run with either Lanterns or Sleepy's Flute. Both cards are excellent and definitely contribute to the overall success of the deck, and guess what? They're both item cards. One of the ways that we could both improve this deck and also make it the worst enemy of itself in those mirror matches is by giving it a card like Trash in the Camp, which would be a singable card that allows you to banish all items. Now, of course, we have Be Prepared in Ruby, and that banishes all characters, and that card is an absolute staple in all Ruby decks. Now, as the meta evolves more and more, I'm pretty sure we're going to see better items and decks that start to really care about these items, and overall we'll just have maybe a couple of really strong item decks. That's my hope. And so we're going to need a way to deal with these item decks, keep things somewhat balanced. We don't really want to see a meta shift in a direction where everybody's playing the same deck and all it comes down to is basically who goes first to get, their first item out and kind of get that leverage or momentum going early on. So yeah, we really need a card that's going to be able to wipe the entire field of all of these items, just like Be Prepared does with characters. And I just really like the idea of having all of the animals from Tarzan stomping around on our playing field, trashing the camp. What a fun idea for a card that would act as an item board wipe. Lastly, I want to explore an idea for a new location card. Or as my 6-year-old daughter would say, not last but least, let's talk about, clearly we've had to correct her a few times. That's some people might find that offensive, but she's learning. Anyway, let's talk about the location Casa Madrigal. Now, I know we don't know much at all about locations. Just the idea of a new mechanic being introduced to the game is enough to make me excited. So the idea that I have for Casa Madrigal would be an ability or just a text on the card that says, "We don't talk about Bruno." If you have a character named Bruno at this location, the opposing characters cannot exert to sing songs. I don't know, guys, that sounds like a dangerous card to me, especially up against a powerhouse like Amber Steel. Well, that's it for today, folks. Once again, I'm Lizard. I love talking about Lorcana, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments below which character or card you're most excited for the future of Lorcana.